Ooh, that's
Pop
an
up.
art. Did it pop up?
Yep.
Yeah, it says Facebook Live.
Welcome back to the Dynasty Heat Seekers live stream. This is night number 2 of 5 straight nights of NFL draft coverage and how it's going to affect your Dynasty fantasy football teams and leagues and individual players and all that fun stuff. Right now, a lot of the stuff we're doing is just guessing. We don't know what's going to happen. This draft's going to be probably crazier than ever, but you know, we got to prepare and prepare as best as possible. And Brad's video already went wacko, just like typical Dynasty Heat Seekers broadcast. Brad messing it up every time. Now he's completely gone. Completely gone. Black screen. That is hilarious. Well, Rob, obviously you couldn't video in with us today. We got your crappy picture up there on the
Crappy.
screen, and I'm gonna try to fix Brad's here. But how you doing today, bud?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Didn't want to give the up nostril shot today, so.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm pumped. It's like Christmas Eve of sports tonight. So, we got the draft tomorrow. I'm pumped. See where the Packers go. How soon they go get Jalen Reagor.
Gosh, I don't want that to happen. Okay, now
Oh boy.
let's see if I can get this to work right. Brad, why don't you talk to them for just a second while I finish fixing your stuff?
I have no idea where I went, Mitch. I am currently here, but not here. Maybe I'm a figment of your imagination. I don't even know at this point. I'm definitely ready for some draft. The funny thing though is, as soon as this weekend's over, next week we start prepping for 2021 rookies. So it's a cycle. It doesn't end.
Well, I will say that everybody's like puke Packers. People talking about the Packers, barf. It took like all of 2.1 seconds for that to come through uh, after they were poor fish, says Anthony Leone. Poor fish. Um,
Or fish indeed.
yeah, you mentioned the Packers. Everybody starts throwing up. So tonight we are talking NFC team draft needs. We talked AFC last night. Had a good time. Went way longer than we wanted it to. We're gonna try to keep tonight to an hour. So to do that, we need to jump right into this. We need to move quicker. And if you guys quit telling me how wrong I am, it won't last. We'll cut out half of the show. But it is funny that I mentioned uh, Lamb to the Cardinals and Komet to the Patriots, or in that 22 to 30 range. And whether you like Chris Sims or not, he dropped his round 1 mock draft, and boom,
Blake.
there they were. Blake, how you doing over there on Facebook? Appreciate you showing up. Uh, I don't know why Brad's video keeps doing this. Um,
Yeah, I don't know either.
uh,
That's the fun part about this time of year, Paul. I mean, we're all wrong. Sometimes we're right. Nobody has a real clue what's going to happen. I mean, look at all the smoke screens that are going out. I saw the Dolphins are trying to trade up to 3, but not trade their number 5 pick to get to 3. I mean, it's just like, it's crazy. It cracks me up, man. What you're hearing as we lead up to the draft.
what did Paul say?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's Craig.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't actually say his name. It just says Jurassic Park. But I know that's Craig.
You had a plan on who we were starting with tonight. Where were you?
Yeah, so we're gonna start with the Bucks, seeing as we were talking all sorts of Gronkowski and Brady last night, and I figured we'd start with the team that we dropped a piece on what 5 places OJ Howard should go to. So if you haven't had a chance to hit RotoHeat.com. Sully put a cool article out there about places he thinks OJ Howard should go. So I figured we'd start with Tampa Bay. Obviously they're kind of the fantasy gold right now. They got all sorts of players that everyone likes to have, but now they almost have too many. Everyone thinks that OJ Howard's kind of the odd man out. You've heard trade rumors. Rob, what do you think about the Buccaneers fantasy wise?
Hey, I love myself Chris Godwin. So hold on, I'm getting a ton of feedback here, so give me a minute.
You got them headphones in?
Yeah.
You have those headphones in.
Huh.
And I am just getting myself feeding back. Anyways, as far as the Bucs, the only thing I got to say is they got to get back. One of the top 5.
We can't understand a word you're saying.
All right, I'm picking up and call
back. We'll get him back.
Yeah, we'll get him back on here.
I heard him say Chris Godwin, and and obviously, he finished off as one of the best fantasy wide receivers last year. I just don't know that it's going to be able to happen again with everything that's going on there. He's
that doesn't make any sense to me. He would probably not run any routes if he went to the 49ers. If I was the 49ers and I had OJ Howard and George Kittle, what am I going to do? I'm going to just run routes with George Kittle and I'm going to have OJ Howard block. I would want him to go somewhere where they've got a decent offensive line and where they're going to ask him to be as much of a receiver as they're asking him to be an extension of their offensive line. The problem with this dude is just that he is such a good blocker that it might always get in the way of his fantasy production and being not that he can't be a tight end 1, because we talked last night, like Gronk could end up a tight end 1 this year just being a red zone threat and playing inside the 20, because that's just the tight end position. So, not that he can't be a tight end 1, but when you're talking about that upper echelon, top 4, top 3 tight ends, that blocking might always get in his way because he's so good at it. So I think there are a number of teams that could use him. Anybody that needs another offensive lineman could use him because they don't have to use him to catch the ball, and he's not making a crap ton of money. I think it's under $2 million for this year.
Yep. So he's still on his rookie deal.
So really, I think he does fit with most teams. Some may view him more as an offensive line help, and others may view him as a receiver. But it's going to be, I think we'll know more once he's moved, and I do think that he's moved by the end of Friday night. Like, I think that he ends up getting traded, and we're seeing if Cole Kmet is a second rounder, you're probably not getting a second rounder for OJ just because of the contract, and it's only 1 year left on that contract. But you could see a third or a fourth round value on him, and if that happens, then he's probably gone by Friday night.
Yeah. And I wonder, we've seen what OJ Howard can do, and we know the kind of the talent there, but I wonder if we're always going to look back and say he was a better NFL player than fantasy player when it all is said and done. And I have one share left of OJ Howard that I've kind of been holding on to, hoping that he develops into something more fantasy wise, but it's getting to the point where I'm like, well, maybe he's just going to be a better football player, which, teams don't care if he's a fantasy relevant player. So what else do you like about Tampa, Rick? Is there anybody else that you're super excited about, or is there any specific needs they have going into the draft?
I've always been a big Mike Evans fan, so I love Mike Evans, and I do think that Brady is not the ideal quarterback for Mike Evans, but I think that they're gonna find a way for Mike Evans to be involved. The dude's a monster. I mean, he's the first wide receiver ever to have a 1,000-yard season, his first 6 seasons in the league. Um, a touchdown monster, and that's one thing that we're going to see. There's, probably going to be longer drives, more extended drives. The offense is probably going to be on the field more, so the opportunity is going to be there. Um, I think that I think he can shorten it up and run a little bit more of the route tree, but Godwin seems like the ideal receiver for a Brady-led offense. Um, but how much does Gronk being there hurt him? And Gronk says today, he says, I'm 100%. And I feel like I did before I had my injuries. A year off helped me. I've always been a big proponent that a year off, not injury-wise, could help a player, just like I thought, like even Le'Veon Bell when he sat out a year. Like, I think those types of deals can help extend some guy's career, having that extended period of time without taking a beating. So, who knows what we're going to get out of Gronk, really. If he really feels that good, we know he can do a lot of damage. So, how much does that hurt Chris Godwin? It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, and it reminds me of Cleveland 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The
for
same
sure.
type of hype from a team that wasn't very good the year before, has all the names, and then everybody was, there was nine? I remember 9 different Cleveland Browns that were like in the top 100 or 110 players or something, and like none of them panned out to the value that they were taken at. Um, Except for maybe Chubb ended up because he was pretty good the second half of his rookie season, but he was split in time the first half. Yeah, so man, this is a team that's just it's going to be tough. I think everybody's going to buy into it and might get burnt.
Yeah, I'd be willing to sell more than buy. But for me, when I look at their draft needs, it's definitely things that aren't fantasy relevant from an offensive side, other than offensive line help, like Craig said in the YouTube chat. But they need secondary help up and down. I saw Paul say that Carlton Davis is their best fantasy player. That's laughable. They need help in the back end, but it's they could easily go get a couple safeties, and I wouldn't be upset. Rob, are you back with us?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
and he sounds good too.
Sound good.
Running back. They need running back. Need. NEED. Capital, all caps with an exclamation point. I'm sorry, Brad. I know you're a Rojo guy now after your research. They need a running back. Point blank.
I think they do. I think they do. I think they need a big guy. But I think Rojo could easily be the change of pace and catch some balls and still be at least usable at some level. But I think they need a bigger back. Like we talked about last night, a couple of teams we brought up, like the AJ Dillon, Zach Mosses of the world. I think they could easily be one of the first teams to take a running back. Kind of late second round, go for a guy like a Cam Akers or some of them other guys like that. But yeah, I think they need a running back too. But I still think both of those running backs can be fantasy relevant. And obviously, Rojo's just not as good as whoever they're going to bring in. But
I think whoever they bring in runs away with that job. In a literal sense, no pun intended. They run away with it. But Rob, what are your thoughts on the Bucks now that we can hear you?
Yeah, pretty much the only thing I had to say was the only thing they need is running back for damn sure. And, it's not going to be Jonathan Taylor. It's going to be one of the guys who catches passes and does that David Johnson type role. Run and catch. Do all that good stuff. I think it's going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but that's just me. But I could also see J.K. Dobbins being the guy.
I would love that.
Yeah, Craig thinks they could go free agent and get a Freeman or a Hyde.
Well, no, because that doesn't do what.
I mean, if they wanted Hyde, they could have kept Peyton Barber.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Freeman, I guess, can catch balls. He's got a history of catching the football, but why? When you've got so many backs and you've got all the early picks. I mean, they pick at the beginning of the second round, they could grab one there. And if they don't want to get one there and they wait till the third and none of those top 5 guys are still there, then fine. Then they can go out and call Devonta Freeman Friday night or whatever and get him signed up before Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing with those guys is their last resort did we lose on that position in the draft? Somebody asked that in the chat in the group the other day. They said, where's Devonta Freeman going to end up? And I said, with whichever team loses the worst in the draft. Whoever doesn't get the guy that they wanted and doesn't feel comfortable after the draft, then that's where he's going to get a job. But I think both of those guys are guys that might not even be till preseason when an injury pops up or something. They might be on the outside looking in, and they might actually get a chance with a team, get cut, and then end up with another team, kind of like what Hyde did before he ended up there in Houston. So,
all right. So next up is the Saints. Rob, what do you see as their draft needs?
Okay, I gotta say this, Craig.
Oh yeah.
All we do is assume stuff. That's all we do as fantasy analysts when we're guessing where people might get drafted. We're just assuming that we know what we talk about. I don't know for certain, and maybe they do want a veteran, but I don't think that's what they want. I don't think that that's the guy that helps them win if that's what they want. I don't think Freeman's the guy. I don't think Hyde's the guy. But yeah, I mean, weren't you assuming on Monday when you were picking your top 10?
Yeah, we assume production, we assume market share, we assume offensive scheme.
Well, our assumed quarterback guru says Devonta Freeman's going to KC.
Why? I mean, he's not even the best pass catcher that would be on that team, though.
Well, I trust his opinion on running backs more than quarterbacks at this point, so.
That's funny. Love you, Anthony.
We need to make that into a TikTok video.
Anyway, we were going to talk about the Saints.
We are. We're moving on to the Saints.
Emmanuel Sanders is a good signing there, but old signing. And so I think they're going to go to the wide receiver market at some point in this draft. But another team that may be looking a lot on defense, that seems to be a theme, that there's a lot of teams needing to fill holes on defense. So maybe we should have just let the IDP guys do this chat, but the last 2 nights. But boy, I think the big thing here with Gronk signing in Tampa Bay is, do you have a big enough linebacker to cover him or safety to cover him 2 games out of the year in those games? And I'm not sure the Saints do, so that might be a need that they're looking for. They definitely need a wide receiver. Tre'Quan Smith, as much as it pains me, hasn't worked out. And, Emmanuel Sanders is getting old, even though he had a nice, great comeback from that Achilles injury last year.
Okay, so which receiver would you love to see them land there? Because I think we're both on the same page. It's probably a deep threat, right? They need somebody to stretch the field a little bit.
Yep, they got that technician, that route runner, and Michael Thomas.